Welcome to the Makeup and Beauty Podcast, where we talk about all things makeup and beauty with a dash of fashion and pop culture. I'm your host, Cmichelle, and let's jump right into it. This episode is a special one. We are going to be having our first guest. Yay! Her name is Brittany Ingram. She is a celebrity makeup artist, and she is going to be sharing with us how she used faith to manifest the career of her dreams. But before we get into that, let's talk about what's new. Okay, so name change. The segment used to be called What's New in Beauty, but I had to change it to be able to include beauty, fashion, and pop culture. So I changed the name to just What's New so it can include all three of those things. So today we are going to talk about fashion first. I am so excited, and just like that, Sex and the City is back. Did you get it? Did you catch that pun? Okay, so the Sex and the City reboot is coming back and it's called And Just Like That. So it is going to be featuring Carrie Bradshaw, Miranda, and Charlotte. So it looks like Samantha will not be back. Kim Cattrall is not going to be participating, but I hope she makes a cameo or something somewhere in the series. But I believe it's going to be 10 episodes. So I was reading an article about it on Harper's Bazaar, and I love Harper's Bazaar online, and it was just talking about how it's going to be more inclusive, how the writers are varying races, and how it's going to have actual Black cast members on this one. It's going to be reflective of the world. It's going to be reflective on what's happening right now in the state of the world. So I'm so excited. Ari Nicole Parker is going to be on there. And then there's someone else and her name slips my mind, but I'm so excited to see how they bring this back. And it's going to still encompass the fashion. It's still going to have all of those things, but just be more present day. So they're not basing their lives based off of what they were in their 30s. They're basing their lives off of being in their 50s and what they're experiencing now. And I was thinking about it. So if they did bring Samantha back, or if she wanted to be a part of it, I'm not sure how that whole situation went down, but if Samantha even wanted to be a part of it, what would be her thing? Like, how would they spin it to make it still be Samantha, but not be Samantha, if you catch my drift? But anyway, I'm definitely going to be coming back, having a whole nother podcast about And Just Like That. I will probably be doing special episodes about it because I love Sex and the City. My husband got me the DVD last year for Christmas, the DVD series. So yeah, I'm into it. And now I'm even more into it, knowing that it's going to be diverse and still show the fashion and the makeup and the beauty and the glamour. I am through the moon about it. I'm excited. It gets me excited about TV again because I really don't watch that much TV besides the Housewives series and now this. So I even follow the costume designers on Instagram. It's And Just Like That costumes, because I'm always curious to know what they have on, who is it by, and all of that. So I'm excited. I can't wait. Stay tuned so we can talk about the show, and email me at podcast@Cmichellestyles.com if you want to comment in about it too. So speaking of things that I'm loving, let's get into the product of the week. So let's talk about a mascara that works and that I love, and that is by NARS. It's called Climax Extreme. Now, if you know NARS, you know NARS reaches to that point, honey, where they are going to name things that are risque, that are a bit promiscuous, and just, all of that. So just don't say it out loud. Just point to that thing you want at the counter, they'll get it. Or don't say it out loud in public unless you don't care. But either way, this is called Climax Extreme. And it is a fabulous, absolutely fabulous mascara. So that it comes in 2 sizes. I bought it in the mini size, of course, because I like to try things first in case I don't like it. The mini size is $12, and that's 0.14 ounces. They have a larger size that's 0.24 ounces for $24. So here's a little bit about it. Introducing the Climax Extreme Mascara. Extreme volume, extreme black, extreme performance. Don't hold back. Climax reaches its peak with the most dramatic volume yet in just one coat. New Loaded Pigment Complex and XXXL Ribbed Bristle Brush instantly creates explosive volume with latex-like black pigment from root to tip. Maximum volume, minimal effort. What it claims: long wearing, clump resistant, smudge resistant, flake resistant, ophthalmologist tested, fragrance free, and paraben free. So out of everything that it claims it does, I can agree with the long wearing. It has not smudged on me. It has not flaked on me. Clumping, maybe a little bit, but I like the clumping, spidery looking eyelashes. I think that's just dramatic and it adds to the drama. So if you want a mascara that's super black and gives you drama, long wearing, and all of that, definitely look into the NARS Climax Extreme. The packaging is really cool. The bristles are great. Whether you have long or short lashes, I think it will work for you. Let me know what you think and if you've tried this mascara or what your favorite mascara is by sending me an email over at podcast@cmichellestyles.com or over on Instagram at Cmichellestyles. Everything will be listed below in the show notes. All right, you guys, let's start the show and be inspired by Brittany's story. Brittany, welcome to the Makeup and Beauty Podcast. We are so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, let's start with, how did you get started with makeup in general?
Okay, so as you guys know, my name is Brittany Ingram. I am known as a celebrity makeup artist. I actually got started doing makeup when I was in college, when I was in undergrad. I would just do it just for fun, just, doing makeup for friends and things like that. And it became something that I really enjoyed. And I just started researching makeup artists because at that time, I didn't know that it was a real career. And I was trying to look for what was next after undergrad, whether I was going to go get my master's degree in counseling or if I was going to pursue this newfound passion, which was makeup. So that's kind of how I got started. And I just started surfing the internet and I came across an amazing makeup artist by the name of Sam Fine and also Damone Roberts. And I just was in love with their work. And they were like the first makeup artist that I saw that was actually doing what I wanted to do, which was makeup on TV. And they appeared to be making a great income.
Right.
Because they were doing makeup for TV and things like that, and models and supermodels and things. So I was like, that's what I want to do. I like makeup, like graduate from college. I am going to do that. So during my senior year of college, I started working for Glamour Shots. I know I'm going to age myself by saying
Girl,
Glamour
it's
Shots.
Okay. It's okay. We are fabulous no matter what.
But yeah, so Glamour Shots is no longer a business, as you know, but that's where I started doing makeup on other people other than my friends. So professionally, I guess you would say I started there, and I just kept practicing and kept going.
So how was it when you told your family you wanted to do makeup as a career?
Well, it didn't, I don't think it went over so well with a bunch of people, especially because I have a lot of doctors or a lot of people that are a lot of my family members are in the medical field on my dad's side of the family.
Okay.
And so I come from a really big family. And there's a lot of opinions, of course, because I have a lot of aunts and I have a lot of uncles. And my mom and dad, they were just pretty much like, whatever you want to do, they're fine. They were fine with it. I felt
That's
more
amazing.
pressure I felt more, I guess, pressure from like my aunts and society than like my parents. So
what made you push through and keep going?
Yeah, because I knew that it was a vision that God had given me.
Absolutely.
So once I knew that part of it, once I I kind of felt like this was a supernatural thing. Like there was something about doing makeup that I just had to do, you know, and there was no stopping me. So
When it
once I
comes from
told my
God, that's how it is.
once I
Yep.
told my mom and my dad, like, I'm gonna go to LA to be a makeup artist, they didn't really give me any pushback. A lot of people was kind of like, oh, okay, to be a makeup artist. Like, mind you, there was no, at that time, there was no Instagram. I don't
Right.
even think there was a huge YouTube presence. If any, Facebook had just started like maybe a few years, couple years back, because I got on Facebook in 2004, and so I graduated college in 2007. So yeah, so for me, I feel like, well, at that time, Facebook wasn't even a platform where you really go to, like, you know, put your work out there. It was just
No.
to socialize with your friends in college, right? Because you had to have a you had
A
to have a
college
college
email. Yes.
email to get on Facebook. Yeah, so the social media presence of a makeup artist was just not there. So
Right.
um, I really had to just go based off of what I felt and what I felt like, the vision that God had given me, and just kind of jump out on faith because, that's just what I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go with that
And that's
instead of go with what
amazing.
anybody else feel.
Absolutely. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So you got to LA. What was the first thing you did, girl? Like, were you like, oh my gosh, I'm in this big old place. What do I do? How did you feel?
Wow. Like, first of all, I came to LA. I cannot tell my LA story without saying I came to LA with a childhood friend of mine, and he also graduated college with me. And we basically made a decision to move to LA 6 months after graduating college. And
Wow.
we moved together, and we drove my car from South Carolina all the way to California. And so when we first got there, I was, I had a degree in counseling. So I had already found a job doing
Okay.
counseling for a rehabilitation facility. So I did do that. And I was working at Glamour Shots. So there happened to be a Glamour Shots an hour away from my apartment.
Oh, just an hour in LA
just
traffic. What did that really mean?
just just an hour. And I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, but I knew I needed to come to LA with some type of stability or some type of job. Like, I only had like a couple $100 in my account,
Yeah.
and I knew that couldn't pay my rent for the first month. So really, me and my roommate, we only had like 30 days to really like get it together. We only had about 30 days worth of like living expenses, in our account, if that. But luckily, I was able to transfer my job from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is where I went to college, and start working at the Glamour Shots in Santa Anita, which again was about an hour from my
Wow.
apartment. So
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I worked at Glamour Shots for a little while, and I also worked at the counseling facility. So I worked two jobs right away. Like right when I got to LA, I was
Wow.
working
Mm-hmm.
because I was determined to make this dream work,
Mm-hmm.
So I hit the ground running.
Wow, that's
Hmm.
awesome. So,
Yeah.
what was your big break in LA? When did you get your defining moment?
Mentioning, I hit the ground running. While I was working two jobs, one, being Glamour Shots, I would put in resumes at every Mac counter that I possibly that I passed by, that I saw, that I possibly could. And I knew that I wanted to work for Mac. At that time, working for Mac was like the dream. It's like
Top tier.
yes, you were official if you were working for Mac. So
Yes.
I'm like, one thing I have to do is, well, my first step is to work for Mac, because also I understood that working for Mac meant a lot of things in the industry at that time, it definitely gave you some validity as a makeup artist at that time because of MAC's reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew if I went out for a job or I was hired by someone and they knew that I was a MAC makeup artist, they trusted me based off of MAC's reputation. So it was like they already kind of knew, like, oh yeah, she probably is a good makeup artist because she works for MAC. She's a MAC artist. Like, all of them are good. So I'm like, I gotta work for MAC. So I started putting in applications at every MAC counter that I came across. And I finally got the job, and it was in Baldwin Hills.
Yes.
At this little small MAC counter right in the middle of South Central LA. Mm-hmm. And I ended up quitting Glamour Shots, but I kept my job with the counseling facility because I still needed 2 jobs. Like, let's be clear. Yeah. I didn't start out at MAC as a full-time artist. I started out as a freelance artist, and then like a 12-hour artist. So, mm-hmm. Still part-time. Then eventually I started working full-time for MAC, and I worked my way up, mm-hmm. To where I could quit the counseling job. So I went from a part-time makeup artist at MAC to a full-time makeup artist at MAC to an interim manager at MAC. And wow. I was able to leave the counseling job and just work just that one job. And once I kind of got some experience at MAC, I started meeting my clients through the counter. Mm-hmm. I wanted to transfer from Baldwin Hills to a counter that had a little bit more exposure.
Yeah.
Because gotcha. I knew that, I'm like, if I could just get to Beverly Hills, maybe, someone would come through and mm-hmm. I could work with all these cool people, if I can work in Hollywood. So I tried transferring to the Grove, and I didn't get the job there. I tried transferring to the MAC counter on Hollywood Boulevard, and I didn't get that job. And then there was a an assistant manager position opening up at Century City, and really nobody wanted to work for Century City. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll go over there. It's like Beverly Hills adjacent. Sure, mm-hmm. I'll do that. I just knew I had to get like location, right?
Absolutely.
I knew I had to get closer to my target market. My target market was celebrities. Mm-hmm. So I got to get closer to the celebrities, right? That's my target audience.
Right.
So sure enough, I got hired at the Century City Mall. And one day I'm working at the mall at the MAC counter, and in walks Tyra Banks.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, it's like she came in the door with like a smoke machine around her. The music was playing, like she was walking in slow-mo. Girl, it was like a whole movie. Like she was coming for me.
She did.
Girl, I pretty much was like, look, everybody stand down. This is my client. I am taking this customer. Nobody is checking out Tyra Banks with me. I'm the manager. Hello. So anyways, I rang her up. I got her makeup together, and I broke a rule, and I gave her my business card. I told her, I was like, hey, if you ever need a makeup artist, let me know.
Yes.
So we were not supposed to do that.
Okay.
But I did it. Because I'm like, you know what?
This was your shot.
I had to shoot my shot.
Absolutely. I would have done the same.
And lo and behold, like, I guess it's maybe a couple days later, she called me at the counter.
No.
And asked me to come and do her makeup on the set of America's Top Model.
Oh, my.
America's Next Top Model.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so geek.
And so I was like, of course I'm coming. She's like, do you need to check your schedule and see if you can come? I'm like, schedule? It's open. It is open. So that was like technically my first big break.
Wow. The
Mm-hmm.
thing that's just so full circle to me hearing your story is you said you felt God told you to do this, number one. Number two, you took the job that nobody wanted. And if you hadn't done that, you would not have gotten that opportunity to get toward that celebrity that you wanted. You knew as soon as you saw her, like, this is it. So,
Yep.
wow. A last question about this. How was working on a set? I know, was that your first experience working on a set?
Yes, that was my first. I had never worked on a set ever. I mean, other than um I did like a little small like indie type of thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything official,
Mhm.
you know. So yeah, that was technically my first time working on a set.
So
Hmm.
what was that experience like for you? Just how did you
Well,
feel waking up that morning, or whatever your call time was like, oh my God.
I really didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So my expectations were, at least I kept them low
Okay.
because I didn't want to go in, I didn't want to freak myself out.
Mhm.
So I just was like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to do what I know how to do.
Yep.
And I trusted that whatever came my way, I would be able to handle it.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
because I just didn't know what to expect,
Mhm.
you know, so I had enough faith in my capabilities of doing my job that I was like, you know what, I trust myself. You
Mhm.
know, I think I can knock this out. I'm gonna knock this out, you know, and everything else
Period.
that comes along with this, you know, I'm gonna figure it out. When I got there, her assistant was super helpful and nice.
Yeah.
And I tell you, the most nerve wracking piece is just waiting for her to come into the room to do
Mhm.
her makeup because I'm just like, okay, like I'm really here. And it didn't feel real until she sat in my chair and I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah.
I'm doing Tyra Banks makeup. And that's the place I had to get out of. I
Okay.
had to get out of that room
Okay.
in my head. I
Mhm.
couldn't be in my head just obsessing about Tyra Banks, the supermodel.
Right.
So I have a friend, her name is Kim, and she looks a lot like Tyra to me, to
Mhm.
me. And I would do her, she's one of my friends who I would practice doing makeup on her. She was a model. She came to LA to model and I would do makeup for her all the time and I would practice my skills on her. And so
Wow.
I just kept telling myself, this is Kim, Brittany. This is Kim. No big deal. Just, you know, just like how you do Kim. Don't think about the fact that this is Tyra Banks because if I went there in my head, my anxiety levels would have increased
Yeah.
and it would have interfered with my skill.
Right. Right.
And it may have interfered with my energy. And
Mhm.
that all that matters when you're close to someone like that. Like when you're doing makeup, you're right in someone's face.
Yes.
And I didn't
Yes.
want to be, you know, I didn't want to be shaking. I didn't want to be breathing heavily because the truth be told, Tyra was not my first celebrity client.
Okay.
My first celebrity client was Kevon Edmonds, Babyface's
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the group After Seven. He was my first celebrity client.
Wow.
Yeah, and but I guess I don't consider that my big break because I didn't work with him after that. I actually
Gotcha.
worked with like Tyra opened up a door for me.
Mhm.
But I did work with Kevon Edmonds once, and that's a really funny story how I got that job. I
Oh
actually
my God.
ran out of gas on the freeway. Oh, I almost ran out of gas on the freeway. That's how I got that job. But I'm
Oh my
saying that to that's a whole story within itself. But I'm saying
God.
that to say when I was working with Kevon, I was shaking, I was sweating, I was nervous. He grabbed my hand and he was like, baby girl, like calm down, it's okay. And I remember
Oh,
feeling
wow.
like I remember feeling like grateful that he did that. But I also remember when I left the Edmonds Towers in Hollywood, I remember feeling like, Brittany, you got to get this together. Like, you cannot be this nervous around celebrities. Like, it's going to interfere with your work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're going to have to come into these rooms as a professional, not a fan.
Right. Right.
And so that's the hat that I had to take off with Tyra. And I remembered that moment with Kavan. Like, I got to take off my fangirl hat and put on my business hat and bang this out. And guess what? When she leaves, I can scream, I can freak out when I get in the
Mm-hmm.
car. I'm calling everybody, I'm hollering, I'm screaming, I'm showing out, right? Because
Right.
it's like the job has been done. I aced it, I killed it, and now we can freak out.
And that is huge. Mind over matter. That's all I hear there.
That's it.
Mind over matter. Getting out of your own way, doing what you know to do, and getting it done. So apparently she loved her makeup and she used you again. How did you feel when she
Yes.
called you the second time? Like, I mean, the fact that she called her own makeup artist and like opened a door for another Black woman is huge to
Yeah.
me. Huge.
Yeah. I love Tyra because she gives opportunity. Like, that's, I don't know if people, realize it or not, but she's given so many models um an opportunity to do what they love just by creating the show America's Next Top Model. And she's given so many women exposure to do what they love just by creating that show. And so
Wow.
she has literally that, like, finding new talent, like that's her deal, like that's her thing. Like, she loves finding new talent and putting people on, like, and she still is doing it. She still is doing it. If you follow her on Instagram, she's always shouting someone out that nobody knows, or she's
Wow.
out, stuff like that. So I love Tyra for that. So shout out to Tyra Banks. But I just think that like the second time when she called me, it had been maybe like 2 years or so
Mhm.
since I had worked with her.
Mhm.
So I just thought that, maybe she forgot about me, and I would
Mm.
email her assistant with, and let her know, like, hey, I'm still around. She's like, Tyra left you, but Tyra also had and still have a makeup artist who has been doing her makeup for years,
Gotcha.
years. And
Okay.
that's her main guy. And
Hmm.
he's amazing. And so I just chalked it up to, well, that was my shot. And
Hmm.
that's that. But then time went on, and 2 years later, she called me back and I started working with her more regularly. And I'm going to say this because I think it is definitely needs to be said. From a spiritual place, I wasn't getting booked by Tyra because I was blocking that blessing during those 2 years. And once I was able to remove the toxicity from my life that
Mm.
actually was blocking those blessings for me,
Yeah.
the windows and the floodgates open from heaven. It was like, okay, you did what you
Wow.
needed to do. So here you go. So God, I believe that God was storing up that opportunity for me, because right when I released myself from bondage that I was in at that time, the doors of heaven opened up for me.
Wow. That's a testimony right there. And that's huge. So, fast forward, what could you say was your most I mean you just gave me an amazing story. So my next question was, what was your most memorable project? So could you say that was your most memorable project, or do you have others?
Oh my gosh. When I say the windows of heaven opened up for me, I mean, it was like God just said, okay, here you go, here you go, here you go. Because I
Wow.
went on to work with people like Angela Bassett, Felicia Rashad,
What?
Simone Missick, yeah, Ashley Blaine Featherson, Logan Browning. I mean, you call it, I probably have worked with them because I went
Wow.
on to work for the Steve Harvey show, where oh my gosh, I had so many celebrities in my chair. And then after that, I did TV work for a TV show called All Rise.
Yes, I love that
And
show.
yeah, so I was doing Simone Missick's makeup for that. So I was doing number one for that for 2 years. I really had so many cool opportunities. Like, I can't even say that there has been one. Like, honestly, my makeup career it really has been a journey. It has been
Mhm.
great. Like God has really blessed me to work with some amazing people in the industry.
It's a dream come true. What would be your best advice for an inspiring makeup artist?
Yeah, so number one, my best advice is to be clear on what you want to
Mhm.
do and to follow that wholeheartedly, and make sure that you are being true to yourself.
Mhm.
So if you want to work in bridal, then work in bridal. Don't tiptoe around it. Go for it full throttle. Just
Mhm.
throw yourself into doing bridal work. If you want to work for television, go directly after that goal. Don't play around with it. Just go straight towards it. I knew I wanted to be a celebrity makeup artist. I knew that there were only two places that I would, in my head, I thought at that time, there's only two places, two cities that I could go to that could get me to this goal as quick as I want to get to this goal.
Mhm.
And that was New York and LA. New York was too cold and LA was perfect. So LA it was. So
Yeah.
I positioned myself to
Mm.
be in a place where the probability of me meeting a celebrity, which is my target market,
Mhm.
is higher than me staying here in Winston-Salem.
Okay.
So I had to get out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina in order for me to be a celebrity makeup artist. Nowadays, you do have Instagram, so you do have a wider reach
Mhm.
to celebrities and to be able to show your work to people all over the world. So being consistent and persistent and trusting yourself, trusting your craft, and last but certainly not least is believing in a higher power who I like to call Jesus Christ. He is my Lord and Savior. And I think that, well, I know that my walk with Christ have been the catalyst behind my success, because my success has been, I think, favor, just favor from the Lord,
Say that.
just,
Yeah.
just favor from the Lord, just straight
Mhm.
up favor from the Lord. So, um, you know, without God, I don't think that I could be, there's no thing. Without God, I would
Mhm.
not be where I am today, and I would not have gotten the opportunities that I got, because he's the one who put me there. So I would definitely say, definitely get a relationship with God, because there are going to be times where you are going to lose faith in yourself, and you got to believe in God because he's the only one. Like when you definitely will not be able to trust yourself,
Yeah.
just, you
Yeah.
know, on
I
your
love how
own.
you're
So
unabashedly open about that. And I respect that a lot. A
yeah,
lot.
I have to. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely, it's a part of my journey. It's a part of my walk. Like I don't get to get the glory. God gets all the glory, because I understand very clearly that honestly I did some stuff, but I didn't. I mean, God worked it out.
He worked it out. Like out. And one thing that I'm unabashedly open about too is my faith. And I appreciate you just giving the honor to who it belongs to.
Amen.
And that's it. Like without him, girl, that's ooh. We gonna have a praise break after this, okay? Because I don't
Okay.
play when it comes to the Lord at all.
Right. Right.
So, a couple more questions, and
Okay.
then, okay. So, what would be your 5 go-to products that you have in your kit?
Oh,
And this
okay.
is just universal stuff. It doesn't have to be like targeted, like just 5 things that you cannot live without.
Definitely cannot live without some Amberleys. Like I love Amberleys. It's it's a moisturizer slash primer. I feel like it is a universal moisturizer and primer. It works really well on the skin. So I'm definitely not leaving home without my Amber Lace. And if it's not in my kit, I'm freaking out because I'm like, how is this? Okay, is this makeup even gonna sit the way I need it to sit? So, a primer, a good primer that you love, or moisturizer that you love, and it doesn't have to be that one in particular, but just finding one that you cannot live without. Another staple in my kit would be, this is probably people gonna be like, what? But is brow gel, because I have to have, like, brows shape the face, and I have to frame those brows, and they have to sit there the way that I frame the face. And I'm not really big on just over sculpting, over drawing, unless the client really needs it. So if you have hair there, I like to show it off, you know, and so I can't live without some brow gel
The
in my
MAC
kit.
brow gel is still one of my go-tos. The clear one.
The clear, this regular clear brow gel is a go-to. And what would a girl be without her lashes?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I am a faux lash girl. I mean, even if it's a natural shoot, we may do some indies. I am not opposed to doing mascara, of course. If it calls for zero indies, like just straight up, no makeup look, I may still try to get off on like one or two on the corners. Like, I am a lash girl. So my kit is stocked with false lashes for sure. So that's that. And I would say if we're getting into foundation, I don't have a specific foundation that I necessarily love per se, but a staple would be liquid foundation. There is no particular brand, but in terms of texture, I would definitely say your kit has to have some liquid foundation in it, opposed to creams, just because the lifespan and what the liquid foundation can withstand in terms of like the humidity or sun or things like that. It's easier to manipulate. It's easier to make the skin a little bit more dewy, or you can mattify the skin with liquid. With cream, you're going to get dewy. With powder, you're going to get matte. And so I just feel like with liquid, even if it's a matte liquid or a cream or a dewy liquid, you can manipulate it a little bit better to tailor it to that client's skin type. And it's easier to mix when you're mixing like skin tones. So if you have a lighter foundation and you have a darker foundation and you forgot your middle color, well, you just mix the two and manipulate it.
Exactly.
You know, and it's easy to just pour it on a palette, twirl it around, and get what you need to get. So definitely some liquid foundation that you love. And last but not least, a good lip conditioner. I think that a lot of makeup artists forget about the lip conditioner. And I'm not just, I'm being honest, like, you cannot, that lip is just not going to look hot. It's not going to give what it needs to give without some hydrated lips.
Girl. Crust is not in.
It's not in. And it's just not in. And so, and definitely have, a few that you can just, in a COVID world, have some disposable ones, please. And just, just a few tubes that you could just say, this is for you, or some squeeze tubes. Those always work. But whatever consistency in lip conditioner that you fall in love with, if it is in a tube, make sure you have a couple that you could dispose of. If it's in a squeeze tube, then you're Gucci. You're good.
Yes, those are awesome tips. Now, are you ready for some fun? This is the fun
Yeah.
part. We're at the
Okay.
end of the podcast, and I want
Okay.
to have some fun and let everyone get to know you on a deeper level, on a more
Oh
personal
wow.
level. So,
Oh
these are
wow.
going
Okay.
to be some rapid fire questions. So,
Okay.
are you down?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, ready. So, are you a morning or a night person?
Ooh, I am a night person.
Okay, what is your favorite season?
My favorite season probably is spring.
Okay, what is your guilty pleasure snack?
Oh, definitely chocolate ice cream, like double fudge chocolate with chocolate brownies and more chocolate.
Yes. Okay. We got specific. Okay. So if you could pick anyone to do your makeup, who would you pick to do it?
Ooh, probably Molly Magic. I think that's how you say her name, Molly Magic.
I think so.
I love her, or Kill Pretty.
Oh yeah, one of
Yeah.
those
So
two.
it's one of it's they're I mean, they're neck and neck. Definitely. I just love their work. So I would definitely probably hire either one of them.
Okay, perfect. Two more. If you could do anyone's makeup, dead or alive, whose makeup would you love to do? Who is still like the dream? Who?
Oh, girl, Oprah Winfrey. Come on. Oprah Winfrey. Come on. What? Auntie.
Auntie, yes, the
Big
original
O.
Auntie.
Listen, Big O for show. Yes.
Last question. Okay, this is a doozy. If you could have anyone play you in your memoir, who would you have be the actress?
Megan Good.
Yes! Oh, I can see that. Yes, yes, yes. I can see that through and through. Girl, well, thank you so much for coming on the Makeup and Beauty Podcast. You have been a dream. Your story is incredible and a true testament to what faith can do. And just believing in yourself and believing in your talent. It was amazing. So tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Brittany Ingram Beauty. You can find me on Facebook at Brittany Ingram Beauty. All platforms actually is Brittany Ingram Beauty. Website www.brittanyingrambeauty.com.
Talk about inspirational. I loved her story, her tenacity to just take that risk and go to that specific MAC counter. If she hadn't done that, then she wouldn't have reached her blessing. You guys, I'm inspired. I hope you're inspired. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please make sure you check out Brittany Ingram's Instagram and website and show her some love and tell her you came over from the Makeup and Beauty Podcast. If you want to show some love to today's episode, please email me over at podcast@Cmichellestyles.com. Check me out over on Instagram at Cmichellestyles. And to keep up on beauty and fashion news, check my website out at www.cmichellestyles.com. Everything will be listed below in the show notes. Thank you so much again for joining me for beauty and community. And until next time, adios, besos.